Today's broadcast opens with one of the most unexpected and high-voltage developments the Dinar community has seen in years, and viewers, you absolutely need to stay with us until the end, because what we are covering today has set the entire global currency watching world on fire. Reports circulating across major tracking dashboards, financial chatter hubs, and community-driven monitoring groups are claiming that a live rate flash has appeared showing the Iraqi dinar at an astonishing 3.30 per IQD. Whether you have been following the dinar story for months, years, or even a decade, you already know that a spike like this, if sustained, confirmed, or officially adopted, would represent one of the most dramatic currency movements in modern financial history. The emotional shockwave this has sent through the Dinar community is unbelievable. People are messaging, posting, recording videos, and trying to understand whether this is a temporary technical reflection, a pre-adjustment, a controlled test, or the first visible sign of long-awaited reforms coming into full effect. Whatever the outcome, the energy right now is explosive. Stay with us, because we will break down the details, the reaction, the context, and what this could mean going forward. At the center of today's uproar is the appearance of that 3.30 rate, which many holders describe as something they never expected to see show up live on public tracking screens. These live flashes have happened before in smaller ranges. Sometimes cents, sometimes technical flickers. But the reported number today is far beyond anything typically seen on rate test cycles. The scale of this number is causing people to question whether systems are running simulations, whether international channels are preparing for deeper adjustments, or whether something far more significant is unfolding beneath the surface. One thing is undeniable: the moment this number appeared, screenshots started pouring across all major platforms used by IQD watchers. Community members say they have never seen social feeds move this fast. Comment threads reached thousands of responses within minutes. Large groups went into immediate real-time analysis mode, breaking down timing patterns, looking for confirmation, comparing international feeds, and evaluating whether this is a live technical update or something more intentional. Even conservative analysts, who normally warn viewers not to jump to conclusions, are acknowledging that today's movement is louder, sharper, and more coordinated than usual. And that is why today's broadcast matters. As soon as the number began circulating, the atmosphere in many currency watching groups shifted instantly from curiosity to shock. Messages came in from holders all around the world saying they had checked multiple dashboards and saw the same thing. Some saw it only briefly, others said their tracking screens updated multiple times. This triggered a rapid wave of excitement, but also caution, because no one wants to mistake a test figure for a confirmed adjustment. Still, the size and intensity of today's chatter are unlike anything previously recorded in this space. Analysts who monitor historical rate behaviors noted that this number is far from symbolic. It mirrors what many long-term watchers have claimed could represent the dinar's potential real-world strength if fully recognized in global markets. Because of this alignment between expected long-term estimates and the sudden flash of a 3.30 figure, the community reaction has escalated to maximum alert. People are calling each other, going live on social media, and asking whether banks, regional financial centers, or specialized currency brokers are preparing for upcoming shifts. The tone is urgent but energized, and that combination is why this story is spreading so quickly. The most interesting part of today's noise is not just the number, it's the timing. The rate flash occurred during a period when many people believed updates were less likely due to global market scheduling, weekend processing patterns, and the general stabilizing behavior of currency platforms. Because this happened during a relatively calm cycle, it stands out sharply. Veteran observers claim that unusual timing often hints at back-end recalibrations or cross-system tests being performed outside peak hours. Others argue that this timing could indicate that certain adjustments are being run quietly, allowing global systems to react without immediate public pressure. Regardless of interpretation, everyone agrees the timing adds fuel to the fire. People are now combing through the data, comparing timestamps, and preparing theories about why this moment, of all moments, was chosen for such a dramatic rate appearance. Some believe it might be an early sign of broader adjustments planned for 2025, while others insist it could simply be a technical stress test. But the reaction shows the community is taking this seriously. One of the biggest questions viewers want answered is whether this rate flash has any connection to recent discussions about economic transformation, reconstruction strategies, and currency stability plans being mentioned in regional news cycles. While none of those discussions guarantee a revaluation or new rate adoption, they often signal long-term direction, and that alone is enough to keep observers alert. Today's 330 appearance has revived conversations about transparency, modernization, and the potential for currency optimization in the years ahead. Even though we must treat every data flash with caution, the size of today's figure aligns with long-held projections that some analysts have used when discussing fair market value possibilities under full global recognition. That is not a prediction, just a reason why so many people reacted as strongly as they did. The symbolic alignment between past expectations and today's unexpected number has pushed community excitement to new levels. And that is why thousands of people online are calling this the biggest day of 2025 so far for Dinar watchers. Social media platforms exploded within minutes of the 330 screenshot wave hitting the community. Live streams erupted instantly. Broadcasters who had not planned to go live suddenly jumped on camera. Podcast hosts scrambled to gather details. Comments poured in faster than many moderators could manage. What made this moment unique was not just the number, but the sheer speed at which the entire Dinar community seemed to mobilize. Some users described it as the biggest Dinar alert event of the decade. Others called it the moment everyone was waiting for. Regardless of individual opinion, the collective emotional surge was undeniable. People shared personal stories about holding their IQD for years, waiting, researching, and maintaining hope through countless ups and downs. Seeing a figure like 3.30 appear, whether temporary, test-based, or something more meaningful, created an emotional wave that many viewers described as overwhelming. And when major discussion channels confirmed they were seeing the same data flashes, the atmosphere intensified even further. Another important part of today's broadcast involves the technical side of rate systems. When a number like 330 appears, analysts immediately question whether a rate feed is undergoing maintenance, testing liquidity paths, or preparing for potential updates. Even though these systems sometimes show temporary figures that don't become official, the size of this figure is what makes today different. A number this high is unlikely to appear without deliberate programming or controlled testing sequences in place. That does not confirm anything, but it does raise valid questions about why such a number was displayed. Some analysts are suggesting that if systems are indeed running tests, it could indicate preparations for future adjustments or stability recalibrations. Others warn that technical flashes must always be interpreted cautiously, as they do not represent formal decisions until announced through official channels. Still, even the cautious analysts admit that today's data behavior is unusually bold and is likely to spark global conversations in the coming days. In addition to technical discussions, the community is reacting strongly to how the 330 figure lines up with what many long-term watchers call the historic benchmark zone. Over the years, supporters have speculated that if global market conditions ever aligned favorably, the dinar could revisit values seen in past decades. While historical comparisons are not predictions, the community finds today's number emotionally significant because it mirrors those historical benchmarks. And that emotional connection drives massive viewer engagement. People are expressing hope, excitement, confusion, and shock all at once. Thousands of messages are saying, "Is this the moment? Is something happening behind the scenes? Is this real or a system test?" These are normal reactions in moments of turbulence, but today's reactions are particularly intense because the number is unusually high and sharply aligned with long-standing expectations. That alignment is what is pushing excitement to new heights across all platforms. Our next major focus is the psychological and emotional impact this event has had on holders worldwide. For many people, the dinar journey has been filled with long waiting periods, skepticism from outsiders, shifting rumors, and endless discussions about timing. Seeing a number like 330 appear, even if only briefly, can feel like validation after years of research and patience. People who have held their currency for a decade or longer are describing today as a moment that reignited hope. Some are calling family members to share the news, others are reconnecting with old community groups, and still others are simply sitting quietly trying to process the moment. The emotional side of this story cannot be ignored. These sudden flashes can trigger massive waves of adrenaline, joy, stress, and anticipation, and that is exactly why today's report is so powerful. It has created a once-in-a-generation moment of unity and intensity among IQD watchers. From a financial analysis perspective, one of the most talked about questions today is what this means for global markets watching Iraq's long-term economic development. A sudden flash of a high rate, if connected to official system testing, could indicate preparation for greater integration or stronger visibility in international financial channels. But analysts emphasize that no one should treat a temporary flash as a final rate or official action. Instead, the focus should be on understanding why such a number was displayed today and what it suggests about ongoing technical or regulatory adjustments. Some believe this could signal that financial infrastructures are being updated to modern standards. Others think it may point to cross-platform synchronization. And a few argue it could simply be an isolated technical spike. But regardless of interpretation, the event has absolutely captured worldwide attention, and that alone makes it a major talking point in 2025's financial landscape. One of the most important parts of today's coverage is the operational side, how banks, brokers, and currency service centers respond when sudden rate flashes begin circulating online. Historically, major institutions do not comment on temporary rate movements during internal testing cycles. This means viewers need to remain cautious and avoid assuming that any displayed number is final or tradable. Still, what makes today's situation different is that the number itself is extraordinary, and the timing adds to the significance. Some community members claim they contacted their local currency centers to check whether any system anomalies were recorded today. Others say their banks reported no new changes on their end. This variation in feedback is completely normal during system-wide recalibrations. Large institutions typically move through multiple verification phases before any structural changes become official. So while excitement is understandable, staying grounded is essential. The next phase we must look at is the broader geopolitical context. Whenever major currency discussions emerge, especially involving a country undergoing economic restructuring, analysts always consider the global environment. 2025 has already been a year filled with reforms, modernization trends, cross-border partnerships, and increased attention on stabilizing regional markets. Against that backdrop, today's unexpected rate flash becomes even more interesting. Some experts suggest that reforms often require adjustments in financial infrastructure, and technical tests are a normal part of that process. Others say the number displayed today is far too specific to be random. But again, everyone agrees that no one should jump to conclusions based solely on a temporary figure. The key takeaway is that when something this large appears live, even briefly, it becomes a major subject of global discussion. As we continue analyzing the situation, one thing stands out dramatically: the Dinar community has never been this unified, this energetic, or this deeply focused. Viewers across the world are staying glued to their screens, watching every update, sharing screenshots, and comparing data. People who normally remain silent have joined the conversation. Long-lost forum members have returned. Even former skeptics are acknowledging that today's flash, whether a test or not, is unlike anything seen in years. And that unified attention is part of what makes today historic. Regardless of where this leads, today's event has re-energized a community that has spent years waiting, researching, and monitoring every small fluctuation. That sense of unity is powerful, and it is driving engagement to record levels. Another component of today's story involves preparation. When major rate flashes occur, viewers immediately begin reviewing their documentation, updating their personal records, and preparing for any scenario. Even though no official announcements have been issued, people naturally take precautionary steps when large numbers appear. These steps typically include checking their notes, verifying their identification documents, ensuring secure storage, and reviewing financial plans. Although no one should assume a temporary rate display equals an immediate need for exchange preparation, these reactions show how seriously the community is responding to today's flash. And that seriousness reflects years of anticipation. Next, we need to explore how today's event affects the psychological strategy of long-term holders. Sudden flashes like this can create a rush of excitement, but they can also generate anxiety about timing, decision-making, and planning. The most important advice circulating in the community today is simple: stay calm, stay patient, and stay informed. No major financial process happens instantly. If anything formal were to develop in the future, institutions would follow structured, phased procedures. That means there is no need for panic, no need for rushing, and no need for emotional decisions. Remaining steady is key. Another interesting aspect is how the 3:30 flash has revived analytical debates that faded over the years. People are pulling out older research, comparing historical models, revisiting archived charts, and reviewing past predictions. Some say today's number aligns with projected value ranges based on national resources and economic potential. Others argue it fits predictions based on modernization trends. Regardless of interpretation, the number has sparked intellectual discussions on a scale not seen in a long time. Analysts are publishing breakdowns, content creators are preparing deep dive videos, and commentators are already planning roundtable conversations. Today's flash didn't just spark excitement, it restarted analytical engines that had been quiet for years. We should also address the technical reliability of rate tracking dashboards. These platforms often pull data from multiple digital routes and may show temporary figures during updates, refresh cycles, or synchronization tests. That means not every displayed rate is a final number. But today's figure stands out because it remained visible long enough for thousands of users to capture it. And multiple platforms appeared to reflect similar numbers. This cross-platform repetition is what gives today's moment added weight. A one-screen glitch can happen anytime. A synchronized multi-platform flash is extremely rare. And that rarity is what has shocked the community. Another major topic is the question of how long the rate flash lasted. Reports vary widely. Some viewers say the number appeared for mere seconds. Others say it remained visible long enough for multiple refresh cycles. Still others claim it faded in and out as if part of an automated test script. These inconsistencies are normal during technical updates. But the important part is that people from different regions witnessed the same number within a similar time frame. That degree of uniformity strengthens the importance of today's data flash and adds credibility to the idea that something significant was happening behind the scenes. Looking at the emotional impact once again, many viewers described today as surreal. Some said their hands were shaking when they saw the 3.30 figure. Others felt speechless. Many simply stared at their screens in disbelief. For people who have waded through years of uncertainty, seeing a number this large, even temporarily, can trigger deep emotional responses. This broadcast aims to recognize that emotional intensity, while also helping viewers maintain clarity and balance. Excitement is natural, but staying grounded is essential. In global currency communities, moments like today are rare. They create massive waves of speculation, analysis, and anticipation. But they also require responsible discussion. Our goal today is not to push hype, fear, or unrealistic expectations. Our mission is to report the developing conversation, analyze community reactions, and help viewers understand the broader context. The number seen today is undeniably dramatic, and the community response is equally dramatic. But responsible interpretation requires patience, clarity, and careful observation of future developments. Another focus today is the sense of renewed unity. Many viewers say they feel more connected to the community than ever before. Live chats are filled with supportive conversations, shared excitement, and encouragement. People who normally argue about predictions or timing seem united today by a common sense of wonder. And that unity is one of the most positive outcomes of this entire event. Regardless of what the future brings, moments of unity remind everyone why the community exists in the first place: shared research, shared curiosity, and shared hope. Now we turn toward what happens next. After a rate flash of this magnitude, Experts usually recommend watching the next 48 to 72 hours of system behavior. This time frame often reveals whether the flash was an isolated test, part of a multi-phase recalibration, or a sign of deeper system updates rolling out gradually. Viewers should monitor dashboards calmly, avoid overreacting to each small movement, and focus on patterns rather than single numbers. If additional abnormalities appear, analysts will dissect them accordingly. If systems stabilize, that information is equally valuable. The key is observation, not panic. As we near the final segment of today's broadcast, we revisit the core headline IQD explosion. Norty 30 raid appears live, sending the entire Dinar community into an uproar. Whatever this number represents, whether a temporary system test, a synchronization cycle, or something more significant, it has unquestionably shaken the global Dinar watching world. It has reignited debates, revived community engagement, and re-energized countless people who have followed this journey for years. Today's flash will be remembered, analyzed, and discussed for a very long time, and whether it leads to further developments or simply becomes a historic moment in IQD monitoring history, its impact is already enormous. Finally, to all viewers watching right now, remain calm, stay informed, stay observant, and stay grounded. Today was a major moment, possibly one of the biggest in recent Dinar watching history, and the world will be paying very close attention to what happens next. If future shifts occur, we will cover them immediately. If clarity emerges, we will break it down in full. Until then, thank you for joining us during this extraordinary broadcast. Keep your notifications on, stay steady, and we will update you the moment new information develops.